We'll start our webinar as we wait for others. It's 4 minutes past 10. So this is the East Central and South Africa Microsoft Excel webinar. Our aim is to create, teach, and inspire everyone in the region regarding data literacy. So the host of the webinar is CHRP Excel Training and Consulting. We are corporate and individual trainers on advanced Excel, HR analytics, which you are going to see part of it today, project management, Office 365, Power Platform, that is Power Labs and Power Automate. We are also consultants on data management and analytics. Other than that, we NITA, our courses are NITA approved. So you get referred from the government when you train with us. We are also MIHRM accredited courses. So if you are HR professional, you get the coveted CPDs. All our trainers are Microsoft certified. Joan being among them. Our presenter today is part of our trainer. She's a Microsoft Office specialist, Excel expert, and she is HR analytics. Her area of expertise is people analytics, HRIS implementation, payroll management, among others, but those are the three of her main strengths. So I'll send you her social media links. You can follow her and you can learn more about her on this page. So the topic of today is people analytics. So Joan wants to have a more interactive session. So you are free to unmute yourself today and engage in the conversation. That's why I'm making everybody a presenter. And let's have a good session. So hello, Joan.
Hi, Crespo.
Yeah, I think you are free to start presenting as we wait for others.
Okay, thank you so much, Crespo, for the introduction. You've heard my name is Joan. I specialize in people analytics, payroll management, more or less like we can say the data analytics bit of HR. I'm a certified HR professional, and at the same time, I'm a certified HR analytics and a certified Microsoft specialist. So my main focus is the data bit, the mathematics bit of HR, if we can use that word. For the session today, probably what Crespo hasn't said is this is just the beginning. This is like the part one of a series. So today we'll just do like a bit of introduction, and then we'll have a second series and even several other series going forward, depending on the topics that you will put forward, you want us to discuss. And I want this session to be very, very interactive. So just to break the ice, I know that we have like so much data. I don't know what fields people are in. I can see this Collins, Evelyn, Linda, Omar, Vivian. I don't know what fields we are in, but I just want us to engage and see what data do you encounter in your field of work. If you're in HR, you're free to say like what data do you encounter and what do you use the data for, really. So you can unmute yourself and just give a response.
Good.
Yeah, so as you've seen, my name is Omar Idi. By profession, I'm an occupational health and safety practitioner. So based on health and safety, there's a lot of data that we collect where I work at the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services. So we find that most of the data we get is from like now where I work at the safety unit. We have what we call people whom we call plant inspectors. So basically, these people conduct a statutory examination of plants. Basically, when I talk about plants, it's this equipment in use in the industrial equipment in use in, at various workplaces, like pressure vessels, could be lifting equipment like cranes, and so on and so forth. So the data they collect basically outlines the name of the workplace, where it's located, the section which it falls under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. I think some times back I shared the Excel spreadsheet with Crispo. I think he could be having an idea. Crispo, can you concur with me?
Yes, I remember your Excel.
Yeah. So that's the type of data that I mostly interact with. And in my case, I'm supposed to actually analyze such data so that I'm able to get more insights and also make it easier for other people who I can say are consumers of such data to actually be able to understand without even having to ask questions. Yeah.
Okay.
So I believe maybe through such a forum, maybe I can be able to get a few things here and there, and maybe make me do my work much better, hopefully. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I think the last time I saw your data, what I recommended, I don't know whether Joan will have time to do that. If you master
Crispo, you're lost.
It's only that it's a bit limited on the formulas, but let's see how Joan will be able to take us through on some formulas and some of the things that we can do using people analytics.
Okay, thank you. Looking forward.
Thank you, Omar. I think we can go through some. Today we'll just touch a little bit on the introduction into data validation. So I think we'll have a headway. Probably in our next session, we'll go deeper and deeper into that. I'm seeing Collins says he's in risk management in banking and mostly deals with data on customers, specifically customer deposits and customer loans. Maybe Collins, if you would mind, maybe you'd expound a little bit on the data that you get and what you do with that data. Or rather, probably you can tell us the challenge that you have with the data that you get, and if you have a challenge analyzing that data. Okay. I believe every one of you can see my screen at the moment. As HR professionals or any other professional in that case, I've just heard about like Omar in safety. I know there are several other people in several other professions. Nowadays we are exposed to so much data, and there's a saying that goes nowadays, like data is it the gold mine, or is it the new currency? Something like, if you have data, then you're richer than the person who has even money, because data nowadays is just a gold mine. So it's what you do with the data that you have that determines whatever you get in return. As I'm going to specialize in HR because that is the field that I know. I know that we're exposed to so much information, and mostly it's about the information that we have on the employees in the workplace. So for info that we have on employees in the workplace, there's just some information that is very critical, like statutory information, like the age of employees, the names of employees, the employee numbers, the date they joined, then just needs to be correct. And just good to note that Excel has really played a big role, because I know that in the beginning, most of the data that we did is just data entry. Like even if you have a HR system, the initial bit of it is the data entry that you do. And the entry that you do determines the output that you get. You know, the old saying that says garbage in, garbage out. So if you put in information that is not in a good format or is just garbage, the report that you're going to get, it doesn't matter how sophisticated the report is, it doesn't matter how nice the report is looking, but if you put in wrong information, then definitely whatever you're going to get as the output is going to be just garbage. So today we're just going to go through the introductory bit of how we can clean up our data in HR. And sometimes, okay, most of the times we actually collaborate. You see, as HR, you deal with people. And when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with everyone in the organization. You're dealing with safety people, you deal with finance, you deal with the projects people, you're dealing with everyone in the organization. So sometimes you get data that is not yours. It's not data that you generated. It's information that you've gotten from other people, and they expect you to make like meaningful information out of it. And when you look at it like from first sight, there's something that doesn't add up, or it's just not data that you can analyze. So normally the first step that you do when you get data or information is data cleanup. And when you talk about data cleanup in Excel, we are talking about everything about looking at if there are inconsistencies in the information that you have, if there are duplicates in the information that you have, if there is any outliers in the information that you have. By outliers, I'm talking about, I'll give an example of if you have people in the organization, you know that the retirement age is 60. So is there anyone who's above 60 years old within the data that you have? Is there anyone, we know that the employment age is 18 years and above? Is there anyone who you've employed in your organization who's below 18? And it might not be the data that you have. You might even be dealing with contractors. You're just doing like an audit. So they've given you their information and you just want to quickly validate and see, like, do they have anyone in their system who's above 60? So what do you do? So let's just see if you can see my screen. I have some data in dummy data, and I've just put like dummy ages of people. And then if you can see on this column C that I've highlighted, it talks about the age of the people, say the staff that we have. Is this dummy staff? So the first thing that you can do, whether just to know whether if it's a yes or a no, you can do conditional formatting. If you're probably, okay, let's start with the names and see if, like, do you have someone who has like a name that is duplicate? We're trying to see, like, have you entered any duplicate information in the system? And then, like, you have someone with duplicate names. This is something not unusual, especially, like, we know that there are people who can share a name, but they can't share like any other. You can't have people with the same ID. So probably the first thing you start with the other people with duplicate names. So the first thing is just conditional formatting. You come here to your homepage, conditional formatting, and then you just want to highlight. There's nothing complicated that you're doing. You just highlight duplicate values. And then it will tell you, like, if you have a duplicate value, like, what do? You highlight, say you fill with green or whatever, then you say, okay. So if you look at it, there is no duplicate value. Let's use this other worksheet and see. Do conditional formatting, highlights, duplicate values. Yes. So you can see in this worksheet, there's people that are sharing the same full name. It will just highlight for you like that. So at least now you can know, like, where to start from. Like, is it that these people are actually different people, or is it data that was entered twice? So if you can see, like, there's this guy who does all the other information is different. So probably it can tell you that these people are different people. Yeah, so that is the first thing that you can do just to clean up your data. Another thing that you can do when you look at your data, if you look at this worksheet, it looks like a normal Excel spreadsheet. But if you look keenly, then you'll see like there's some other names that are in full caps. There's some other names that are in all small letters. There's some other names that are starting with a caps per each word. So just to clean up, since it's names, you can just, there's a simple formula in Excel called proper. Just do the proper. Proper case means it will it will capitalize the first letter of each word. So if you do it like this, yeah, so if you see like the ones that were capitalized, they are now all in small letters. But then again, probably you might be wanting to put all your data or all the names in caps. So to capitalize each word, we just use proper. If you want to do all your font in uppercase, you write upper. Yes. So everything will be appearing in uppercase like that. And then you can copy. Simply just paste it as number so that you can remove the formula. And then you can delete these that you don't need. So everything else, you see now, you'll have like uniform data all the way to going back to outliers, you've been asked to check like, do we have anyone in our system whose age is above 60 years? So it might take a bit of time, especially if you have like a lot of data, just going through like line by line by line by line to see, and then like maybe marking them. Probably that is what most people do. You go through line by line and then maybe you highlight using a different font and then you come and filter later. All you can just do is you just use a formula called if, and then it's a logical test because you're trying to test the logic. Is this above 60? If it's above 60, then what do I want it to return? If it's not above 60, then what do I want it to return? So if it's above, let's say like we want it to tell us that if it's above 60, then say that it's true. So is this age above 60? It will ask you if the value is true, what do you want it to return? Then we'll say we want it to tell us that it's true. And then if it's false, that means that if it's below 60, what do you want it to tell us? Then we want it to tell us that it's so you see anything that is below 60 is written as false. So like these ones that is 61, 62, 63, it says that it's true. So after we've put that formula, you can just easily come and you can filter and see which employee is this that says true. So it will show you that you have 3 employees that are actually above 60 years old. And then you'll know what to do with that information. So in the event that you're using data and it's information that is shared. Like it's a worksheet that probably you're going to generate and you're going to share it amongst some people, and then it's going to come back to you, probably to do the analysis. You might want to prevent some of these things from happening, you know, people keying in an age that is above 60, or people keying in something that is duplicated. You can actually prevent that from happening by just putting a validation on whatever column that you want or whatever a row that you want. So for example, we're talking about national ID. We all know that you can't have a duplicate national ID with someone else. So we want to share this worksheet, say with finance. And then they are going to duplicate the statutory, whatever they have in their system. But we want to ensure that when they send this worksheet back to us, there's no duplicate. So we are going to put in a validation on this worksheet. So to validate data, you come to the tab, the data tab, and then the data tools. You'll see something called data validation here. So you click on that, data validation. There's different settings. You can actually input an input message that tells people what to do in that particular column. So let's try with this particular one for national ID. And every time someone selects that cell, the message is going to be displayed. So let's say, let's write something like this. No duplicates will be the heading. And then we'll write please input. Then we say okay. So you see, every time someone selects that cell to key in something, it will ask them to please input a unique value. But they can still input a unique value. There's nothing that is going to happen. So we can go ahead and actually put in another validation on that column that will show them if they have input a unique value. So when you come to data validation, there are 3 tabs: settings, the message, and the error alert. So we just did the message. Let's do now settings. So we just need a number that is between. We're looking for just people between 18 and a maximum is 3. Okay. So if I come in and I put an age of someone, or sorry, rename this. We're talking about age. So if I come in and I put the age of someone that is below 18, you just need people that are below 18, no, above 18, but below 60. So if I put someone who's 50 years, it's going to accept 53, 19, like that. If I put someone who's 17 years old, it's going to tell me it doesn't match the validation. So I need to put in something else that matches the validation in the criteria. So you can, that's how you can prevent people from keying in information that you don't need. Or like for national ID, we know that the ID has, I think, 10 characters. So if you're sending this worksheet to people to put in ID numbers, you can actually put in a validation that will not save or will give them an error alert if they have put in anything either above 10 or below 10 digits. So it makes the cleanup even easier or reduces your work for data cleanup. So before we proceed any further, maybe if there's anyone that has any question.
There's none in the chat, unless somebody wants to raise their hand or unmute themselves. I think we can proceed.
Okay.
Excuse.
Yes, Omar.
I think I'm lost on this. They just explained topic on or aspect on data validation.
Yeah.
It's called column D, whereby you are talking about the national ID.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm lost. If you could just start from the beginning. You know, like I tried to connect from where you started, but seems I'm lost.
Okay. So
Yeah.
here, let me change this. I'll do it again. Sorry, let me clear the validations. So here, you've been given these data, and this is not data that you generated yourself, but you just want to look, probably this is data from a contractor, for example, and you want to look like, does the employees of this contractor, do they have anyone that whose age is above 60? And maybe if this is your worksheet and you need to send it to other people to input information, you know, sometimes you can generate a worksheet from whatever setting that you are in, whatever profession that you are in, but it's a collaborative sheet. You need people to enter information. So say you're generating this worksheet, you need people to enter info, but they cannot enter information that is beyond a certain limit. I used an example of age, and I said, I'm in HR, I'm sending this worksheet to maybe a contractor to put in the names and the information they have of their people. But I do not want any information of any employee whose age is above 60. Or I want them to input information of people that is between a certain age. So I'm going to put a validation on this column so that when they come in and they put the ages, if there's anything that is outlying, if there's anything that is beyond the scope that I need, it's going to give an alert to them, and then they'll have to rectify. Sometimes it might be a data entry issue. Maybe I've written your date of birth wrongly, so it gives a wrong date, a wrong age. So when the error message comes up, then I can rectify. So we just said, like for this column, it's a column on age, and we need to put a data validation to the people that we are going to be doing data entry, and we need the data that they're going to key in on this column to be a whole number. First of all, we need it to be between a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 60. And then we say, okay, just that. So if I come in now, this worksheet has been sent to me. I'm in a different department. I'm doing my own data entry. I key in the ages. 30 is fine. 32 is fine. This other person age is 50. That's fine. This other one, 67. You see, the moment I put in anything that is beyond the scope, it's going to give me an error pop-up. It's not going to allow that. So when I close it, it deletes that. So I need to find out, like, what is the criteria that is needed for this column. And that is why I said, like, if you put in validation in whatever field that you are in, or whatever that you need, then it's going to make your data cleanup exercise even easier, because now you don't have to come and start digging to find out You can just put validations to the people that are keying in information on the worksheet that you want, and then it is going to restrict any information that you do not need. Anyway, so I think for the sake of time, I think we have about 10 minutes. We can just finish, and then we see if you have any questions, and then we can still try and test and see. So sometimes you can get some sheets that you receive, and they definitely have things that are what you can call outliers, or things that do not match the criteria that you have. For this one, let me see. This is the example that we had done, and we had tried to test anyone from the employee sheet that we have whose age is above 60 years. And we had seen there are some people that were reading true. So let's try and see now from all the employees that we have, like, can we try and count the people that are actually below the age of 60? So we are going to use an if account formula just to count for us. So we'll say count if. The range, it will ask you for the range, like which range are you counting? So this is the range that we are looking at. And the criteria, we are looking for anyone who is written as false. It means they are below 60. Let's see what we'll have. Getting. I don't know why it's returning 0. But we'll try that again. So you can use the count formula to see like how many people. We can go in depth further into that probably maybe in our next session to see. You can use you can have like count formula. There's a formula called a sum if. The if formula is a logical function. So you can use count if, sum if. You can actually sum like the salaries for employees who are below 50. You can sum the salaries of employees who are above 60, something like that. But that requires like its own session. So we can go further in depth now into the analytics bit of it now that we are done with a bit of data cleanup. Data cleanup, that was just like the top of the iceberg. There's so much. Sometimes you receive data that is just so dirty, like you have ID numbers that have a decimal point in it. How do you remove it? You have statutory numbers that have like numbers that are beyond the required length, and you need to trim it to a certain length. You actually need to validate if they are correct. Like, for example, if it's a KRA number, it needs to have a text at the beginning and a text at the end. So how do you validate that it's actually correct like that? So this is session 1. We'll have like maybe 3 other sessions as we go forward to now look at data analysis, bit of the data that we have. Any question to that point?
Jose is asking whether you are going to give the spreadsheet.
Yes, I'll share. I can share this.
Abdallah, let me make you a presenter, Abdallah, so that.
Jose, yes, you can. I'll share the spreadsheet on the chat before we exit, so you can practice with it.
Abdallah, you're free to unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Crispo. So I was just trying to see if the reason was because force is a special word. Maybe if you tried force without putting it inside the double quote, maybe.
You're breaking, Abdallah. I don't know what. I'm the only one who can't hear you.
Okay, so I was trying to say when we use the countif with force, it didn't give us a result. So I was just thinking maybe because force is a special word, it's a reserved word in Excel.
Are you
so
commenting
maybe,
on why the formula Joan was using is not working?
Yeah, it's not giving the result less than 60. Maybe if you put the force without it, putting it in double quote, maybe.
Crispo?
Okay. I think Joan can try that and then we'll see.
Say again, Crispo, I think I lost you. I didn't hear the initial bit.
Oh, okay. Abdallah was saying that you can make some changes on the countif, putting true or false without putting it, without using quotation marks. Where he was trying to troubleshoot your function.
Oh, okay. The reason why I used quotation marks is because this value is actually a text, and the formula doesn't normally, Excel formulas doesn't recognize text. That's why we put anything that is a text in quotation marks, so that it can evaluate. So that's why I think you've seen, like in everything that I've done that has a value, I put quotation marks in between. Probably I forgot to say that. The reason why we put anything that is a text like this, like if you've seen whatever I've highlighted, anything that you enter that is a text, you need to put it in quotation marks so that Excel can recognize that as a value. Okay. Any additional question or comment or input?
Jose is asking whether in the next session you can build it in Power BI.
Oh yeah, I've seen the question. Sorry,
I
Jose?
I on mobile, but I can use this spreadsheet to show in Power BI.
Yeah, I think Jose was asking for me to share the worksheet so that he can use these to do Power BI. And Jose, are you willing to share in our next session, maybe on Power BI?
It could be. It could be, see, yes. If you want, maybe.
Okay, thank you. I'll share this worksheet with you just now before we close the chat, and then you can get it from there.
Okay, thanks, Joan.
You're welcome. Crispo, maybe you can close if there's no other question.
Oh, okay. There was a session like, why is it necessary to have people analytics?
So it's very important to have people analytics in the workplace because it guides basically everything that you do, from recruitment, from remuneration, from performance, from turnover, everything. So when you are analytical savvy, you're able to even forecast things like turnover in your workplace using the trends that you've already received. So sometimes you can analyze the trends that you've had over the years, and you can actually forecast that, you know, in the next year, we predict that we are going to have like X number of employees leave. You look at the recruitments that you've had, and you can actually forecast, and it can actually help you, especially with your budgeting, with decision making in the workplace. When you analyze certain things like misconduct, it can tell you, like, you know, like we've been experiencing misconduct, especially in these departments, and especially like related to these, and that is why you can loop in people like the safety guys, and you can actually have a discussion, and then they can implement other measures to put in place, because we say that when you analyze, or when you have analytics, you're mostly looking at the root cause, not just the top of the iceberg. Most of the things that happen in our workplaces, we are normally seeing the top of just the top of the iceberg. But when you dig deeper and you look like deeper, is when you get the root cause, and it can help you actually make better decisions. So people analytics in the workplace is very important for sound and better judgment and better decisions, because we are talking about, like, you're dealing with people and you're dealing with humans. So the decisions that are made are very calculated. And in order to make the right calculated decisions, you need to have facts and data. That is why it's very important to incorporate people analytics in the workplace. Yes.
Joan.
Yes.
Have you ever used employee net promoter scorer in the organization?
Sorry, I didn't get this.
If you use the KPI's net promotion scorer.
Promotion scorer.
Yes. Did you use
Okay,
this
I don't know.
KPI?
I don't know.
To test the ambient, to test the relationship between the employees. Have you ever used this?
Okay, I don't know if we have the right, if we share the right wording, but in my case, I've done something called bench strength tracking. So
Yes.
when you do like bench strength tracking, I think it's the same thing that you're talking about, like looking at the next, when you're looking at employees, like who's most viable to occupy this position in like X number of years, like that, and then now you start succession planning. Is that the same thing that you're talking about?
I'm talking about the indicator who tests a promoter, a passive, and contractors.
I think it's the same thing that you're talking about, but I think we're just using different lingo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Maybe if not, then we can close.
Maybe the last question, Joan. How is your journey? How does one become good in Excel and be good in people analytics?
I think I lost you. I just had the last bit of it. If you don't mind, maybe you can rephrase. I just had the last bit about the journey in Excel.
Oh, okay. I wanted you to share your journey on becoming a people analyst.
Okay, well, I think it would be fair to say that 6 years ago, I was not proficient in Excel or anything, but the only thing that I knew is that I had a passion for data analytics, and I had a passion for just data analysis, mathematics, something like that. I ended up in HR, and I actually even never knew that there was something called people analytics when you start and something like that. So we came in, were exposed with so much data, so much information. My Excel journey actually started with 30 minutes lunchtime classes by Crispo himself. So he's the first person that taught me about Excel formulas, how to troubleshoot. Sometimes you do something and you just get an error, you're just frustrated, but when you learn how to do it, then just simply like that. I interacted with Crispo about 6 years ago. He started teaching me about simple Excel formulas, how to troubleshoot simple things, encouraged me to actually register as a Microsoft specialist. So that is what I did that is the time when he was doing the MCT. So I did the Microsoft Office specialist, got certified as an Excel expert. But that was after a lot of rigorous, going for several classes, doing several tutorials online, doing a lot of dummy information. But I think the most thing for me was just passion for data, passion for analytics, passion for, analyzing, and just, that aha moment or light bulb moment. That is what I normally go for. So apart from the normal HR duties, I mostly do a lot of HR reports, a lot of HR analytics, and I think that is how I ended up in payroll management for staff, because it involves a lot of data and a lot of numbers. Yeah. So far, that has been my passion. Along the way, I also got registered by the Global Academy of Finance and Management, did a course, passed the exam, and I was certified as a HR metrics and analyst by the Global Academy of Finance Management and the American Academy of Project Management late the beginning of last year, but one. So I think that has been my journey. I think what I can do is just the love for numbers, love for data, and what we can do with the so much information that we have at our disposal.